the David Bowie box showed up when I got back from Rocky Mountain Audio Festival. So we're going to open it together. And even though I have a cold and I'm feeling crappy, I want to do this, and I want to do this in front of you so you can see it. But first, let's just talk about David Bowie for a second, okay? So this is the guy who infused theater and mime and stagecraft into rock. Before he arrived to do this, it was four schlubs standing on a stage playing, which was great. Don't get me wrong. And, the Beatles were theatrical too in their own way. Brian Epstein gave him the outfits and the look, and it was very theatrical in its own way. But Bowie really brought in theater in the Broadway in its sense, in the Anthony Newley way, and he brought cinema into it. He just kept changing and changing and changing in ways that hadn't been seen before. So I actually got to be on the Ziggy Stardust tour, covering it for a magazine called Fusion in Boston. So it was amazing. So I got to travel on the plane with them and stay in the hotels with them, and it was quite a scene. So let's see, what do I have here? So I can show you. Here was I hope this shows up on the camera, but this was the guest list for this was George Underwood's, all the rooms. So room 401 was M. McDonald and Tim DeFries, they're the managers. And then Iggy Pop was in room 405. See that? Can you see that? Yeah, you can see that. Lee Blackchilders, C. Fox, Foxxx. Now, this funny thing is, Woody Woodmansey and Trevor Bolder, the rhythm section, they had to share a room. They shared a room, but Mick Ronson got his own room. The great Mick Ronson, the great guitarist who passed away a few years ago of cancer, a terrible loss, and he's way underappreciated. Great guitarist, and a great addition to the Spiders from Mars. Mick and Sheila Rock, the photographer, Mick Rock. Stu Ginsburg, he was a publicist for RCA. I'm not going to go through all the rooms, but 418 was Mr. and Mrs. Jones. That was Bowie and Angela and Angie. And I was in room 422 with my friend Tim Jurgens, who also wrote for Fusion magazine. And Tim passed away, sadly, some years ago. And then Mike Garson, the pianist, who the audiophile community knows, he plays the piano. He has records out on, I think, on Reference Recordings. He had room 422. And the bus driver had his own room, but Woody Woodmansey and Trevor Bolder had to share a room. I just can't get over it. This was the St. Regis Hotel in Detroit on October 8th, just around this day, in 1973, I think it was. Anyway, and my friend Ben Gerson at the time, who wrote for Rolling Stone, and also for the Boston Phoenix. So let's see what else I have in this little bag of tricks here. I got these were the Ziggy Stardust tattoos. I chose not to put them on my skin. They were decals, different characters from Ziggy Stardust, pretty corny. Then there was the David Bowie Ziggy Stardust RCA bumper sticker. Chose not to put that on my car. Then, this is a picture of Jeff Beck and Rod Stewart. It has nothing to do with this. This was in the folder. I had this in my car, and I walked into the the Chowder House on Boylston Street, and there was Rod Stewart. So, like a schmuck, I took the picture out of my trunk and had Rod Stewart sign it. But okay, that's a whole nother story. And what else we got here? We got, this was the story in the Boston Phoenix from October 17th, 1972. So I guess it was 72. This is, and that was written by Ben Gerson. It's called Bowie's Martian Spiders Spin New World. And on the back of this was stereos. You could buy stereos at Leechmere's, because stereos were really cool in 72, and they're cool again. And I'm just tired of everybody listening to music on their stupid computers. I mean, if you hook it up to a good stereo, it's okay. But let's see. This was what was this? Oh, no, sorry. Sound like Zachary here. This was the U.S. This was the Bowie tour. This was a springtime tour. This was an ad that RCA ran. Let's see what else is in this thing here. Oh, this is a cool one. This was at the old RCA Studios in New York that is now owned by the IRS. It's no longer a studio. And there's Bowie there. And if you look in the background, you see a guy wearing an Afghan, like, sheepskin vest back there. That was me. And it stunk. That thing stunk. I don't know why I wore it, but I really liked it. It smelled like a sheep, and I wore it all over the place. That was a cool press event. It's like Bowie was, I mean, it was really, he was really, at that point in time, it was a big deal to be sitting there at the press conference. All right, what else we got here? Oh, that's nothing to do with this. Not even close. What else we got? And this is when Bowie finally broke through to the mainstream, and he was on the cover of Time magazine, and it was the Let's Dance period, and he actually was playing the arenas, and, you know, he was wearing the white suit and everything. I mean, the guy went through so many changes. And he wrote a song called Changes. Okay, here are some pictures that a friend of mine took at one of the Ziggy Stardust concerts. I'll get back to the tour because it was really great. Now we will get to the box. I promise you we'll get to the box. Here's another shot from that. A fabulous picture. Another great one. Oh, here's one. Look at this. Mick Ronson, David, Trevor, and Woody Woodmansey. Look at that picture. Is that a bunch? Backstage. Fantastic. And one more, Mick and David. Boy, it was, you know, if you got to see that tour, you were lucky. And I got to see it multiple places. Okay, what else have we got here? Oh, this is the Rolling Stones story. And look at this. This is from 1972. This is before Close Encounters. I'm convinced that the art director of Close Encounters looked at this picture of Bowie and said, the creatures that are going to come off the flying saucer in Close Encounters are going to look like what David Bowie was doing. I mean, that's how far ahead he was. In fact, I have another picture here I want to show you. Pardon me for leaning down, if I can find this. Oh yeah, there's a bootleg of the I'm still here, of the Santa Monica tour that came out. Look at this. Look at this picture. I mean, does that guy look like Close Encounters or what? I'm quite convinced that was the case. All right, so anything else of value for you to see on the David Bowie scene? Yeah, this is Phonograph Record Magazine, another magazine, kind of another Bowie story. Anyway, I kept all that stuff because you know, in my rock and roll world, David Bowie was like John Lennon, one of the top guys, and still is, in my way of thinking. Oh, so let me get back to the tour. So I saw the tour in Boston. Oh, here's another cool thing. So when he played the music hall in Boston, they had giant billboards. So I actually got a hold of one of the billboards. This is one piece of one of the billboards. It says Ziggy played guitar. Now it says Ziggy Music Hall on the other side. You can't really see it, but I kept it all these years. I used to have it hung up in my living room. This, before I got all dirty and disgusting, it was actually the backdrop to my living room because I'm a fan. You know, I'm a real fan, even to this day. The tour was really amazing. So I got to see it in Boston. Then we went to New York and we saw the Carnegie Hall show, which was absolutely astonishing. It was a magical show from beginning to end. And when David Bowie said, "Give us your hands, give me your hands," you know, and the whole crowd, it was a revival meeting, and it was real. It wasn't like a show. It was a reality. It was a reality that I don't know if that exists anymore. When you know, young, sophisticated people who are so media savvy, whether they see, I know they have their fans. We all have fans. Young people have their heroes, you know, Taylor Swift, but it's a show in a way that this was not like a show. When David Bowie came out as Ziggy Stardust, he had created this alternate reality that was beyond a stage show. It was real to the people that were in the audience, and they gave him their hands, and they left the place transformed as if they had seen something miraculous, because they had. It was miraculous. I was already, not so young anymore, but it was already amazing. It was, and then this was repeated in Philadelphia, and then Chicago, and then Detroit. I think I got those places all correct. It was a long time ago, but Detroit was amazing because Iggy Pop sat next to me, and I just sat there and watched the show. And then traveling on the plane with them was fascinating. Mick Ronson was a very personable, friendly guy. Bowie was very standoffish. And what I found interesting was that the hanger-oners in the hotel that we were staying in, the various hotels, those are the weird people. I saw things that I will not repeat on camera. I saw things that I had never seen before and haven't really seen since. But Bowie was pretty much away from all of it. You didn't see him too much, but all the other people were out there, hangers-on, the hallway with crazy people, and you think Bruce Jenner is much now? This was 1972. It was all back there, baby. It was all happening. And the interesting thing was, whatever Bowie's sexuality was then, whether he slept with Mick Jagger, all these stories that go around, whether he was cynically exploiting or saw, the gay community as a way to get into this whole, to make the music reach a certain constituency and grow from there. I don't know these things, and I don't ask these things, but I do know that when RCA wanted to launch Ziggy Stardust in Boston, they had the launch party at a gay bar called The Other Side, and which was downtown near a movie theater. And most of the people that walked into the gay bar had never been there before, and I'm sure a few of them had been, and they walked in and saw some people they knew and said, "Hey, what are you doing here?" "Oh, I've never been here." Anyway, so we went. I went with a girlfriend of mine, and there was Bowie dressed as Ziggy on the dance floor, dancing it up. So we got on the dance floor and got as close. So I can say, honestly, I danced with David Bowie. I don't think he'll admit it, but I did. Anyway, the tour was an amazing experience, both for the shows and the whole backstage thing. And the guys in the band, Woodmansey and Boulder, they were just blokes, blokes from the UK, going on wearing and doing the whole thing. And Mick Ronson, too, was a very normal kind of guy when he wasn't on stage. They were all normal. The weird people were the hanger-oners. But I remember during that tour, at one point, Mick Ronson went into the swimming pool at one of the hotels, and the chlorine and the bleach, because his hair wasn't really blonde, the chlorine and the bleach reacted, and his hair turned green and started falling out. And I think he had to wear a wig. I mean, some of this I'm probably making up because, there were a lot of drugs around then. No, I'm kidding. But I think that happened. It was kind of funny. So let's get to the box, okay? So this is exciting to me, even though I'm old, that this box is coming out now. And I'm sure, David Bowie, as far as the records go, he has been very poorly served on vinyl to a great degree. And digitally, it's just been a mess. And I'm sure Tony Visconti would agree. Because he was signed to RCA. I mean, he was first on Mercury, which was not exactly a rock and roll label, and so Space Oddity came out on Philips in the UK. And I remember there was a copy at a record store that I worked at, and it was there right in front of me. And I said, "I love that song, Space Oddity, but what's the rest of the record? I'm not going to spend my $6 on that record, or $5, whatever it was." And I didn't, but now that record's worth a lot of money. But anyway, it came out in America on Philips, and no, I don't think it came out on Philips in America. Whatever. The bottom line is, Bowie signed to RCA in '71, and at that point in time, RCA was not pressing good records. Dynaflex had come in, and there was the petroleum shortage. So those records in America were those flimsy records, and they were noisy, not well pressed. And this went on for years. And then Rykodisc put them out again. If you remember the Rykodisc, they put out this box. They put out this Sound and Vision box, 6 LPs, direct metal mastered, clear virgin vinyl, great packaging, great stuff inside, and it says these are called CDQs, compact disc quality phonograph records. That is an oxymoron in my world. And the mastering engineer, Toby Mountain, I think he descended into a valley when he mastered these. These just sound terrible. So these sound terrible. The American originals were not well pressed, but they were fairly well mastered. A big problem. Mobile Fidelity released Ziggy Stardust. It's pretty good, but again, the EQ is kind of weird. The UK pressings were better. The Japanese pressings were pretty good. I've got most of those here. There was this is a great hunky-dory. This is the hunky-dory against which I will measure the box set version. This one came out EMI's 100-year anniversary. This was analog cutting from analog tapes. This is the real deal. I have a UK man who sold the world. They sent it out this way because the original cover of this, the original cover was David in a dress. This came out like this. You know what's funny about this? If you look closely at him, look at his face. He looks more masculine wearing the dress. He looks more like Caitlyn Jenner looks now than he looks like a guy trying to be in drag. In fact, I would say he looks, the Katharine Hepburn look more feminine here than here. Here he looks like, my God, I'm wearing a dress. I mean, that's just my opinion, but whatever. Anyway, so he hasn't been all that well sorted on vinyl. The UK vinyl is very good. The UK Ziggy Stardust is very good, original. And this is the one that says a gem production. There's different variations of this. This one's very good. This was the Decca World of David Bowie because he was signed to Decca. And this is the cover. There are two covers of this. This one, you can see where he was punched in the eye and one of his pupils doesn't close. So it kind of added to the eeriness, this alien space thing. I'm not going to show you the rest of the covers because it's just like a big cock tease. Oh, I said cock. Shit, I said cock. Okay, anyway. So let's get right to the box set, okay? Because I could sit here and show you I've got all the records, okay? I've got all the records, every pressing, and I'm going to be listening to it and seeing what they did. Because that's what you want to know, right? You want to know how good this box sounds. The Sound and Vision box was nicely packaged. There's great pictures in there, but the sound sucks. It's just no good. So, do you find originals or do you go for the box? So let's see what they did. How was the box mastered? Well, we know I spoke to Ray Staff, who did the mastering, and he was not allowed to say anything. Most mastering engineers will not. They're working for a client. They're not going to tell you all the details unless they have permission. So let's open it. It's literally sealed. I'm unsealing it. So if this recording doesn't work, it's too late because I've unboxed it. Now it's the 5-year package, 69 to 73. Includes 6 original studio albums, 2 classic live albums, the 2003 mix of Ziggy Stardust that I believe Ken Scott, the great Ken Scott, recording engineer, who recorded Hunky Dory and Ziggy, and much of the Beatles' White Album, and who we interviewed on Analog Planet. You can read he's a terrific guy. And a brand new compilation entitled Recall 1. Now, Recall 1 as a compilation is probably from a digital source, but that's probably better than making copies of analog tape and who knows what else. Plus a beautiful companion book featuring rarely seen photos, recording essays from producers Tony Visconti and Ken Scott. Tony Visconti, I met him once at this Red Bull event where he talked about Bowie, and Ken Scott was there. And I used that introduction to email him to try to see if he could help me get in to see the David Bowie museum exhibit because I was in the UK when it was there, but he never responded. Sorry, Tony, I guess I offended you. Anyway, let's see. So, it's got Space Oddity, Man Who Sold the World, Hunky Dory, and these are new 2015 remasters. These have been remastered, obviously. Hunky Dory, but when they say remasters, I'm not sure what that means. Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust, not remastered. Aladdin Sane, not remastered. Pinups, a new remaster. Live at Santa Monica 72, which is a fantastic concert. Ziggy Stardust, the motion picture soundtrack. The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and Spiders from Mars 2003 remix. Okay, so that's what we got here. It's a nice box. And I appreciate that it was sent to me. Because I can't afford to buy all this stuff, and they sent it to me. I think, okay, let's see. So let's open it up and see what we got. Okay, this is stuck to it. I'm going to unstick it. Nice slipcase. Sorry, I'm sick. Deal with it. Yeah. It's heavy. Oh, there's one thing I wanted to say. So, in the 70s, when I was on the radio, I think baseball was running promos for getting into baseball, and the baseball commissioner at the time was Bowie Kuhn, and I think Bowie Kuhn did this public service announcements. If you are a youth between the ages of 15 and 18, and you're thinking about getting a baseball career, go visit your local, go to college and become a baseball player. I remember that. So I did this satire. I said, "Hello, this is Rock and Roll Commissioner Bowie David. If you are a youth between the ages of 14 and 29, slender build and sore features, you should consider a career in professional rock and roll. As a professional rock and roller, you have a chance to enjoy peer group adulation, a wide variety of drug and sexual experiences, early retirement, and even death. For more information on your exciting career in professional rock and roll, listen to these satisfied pros." And then I did a commercial for the radio, for the record store that I worked at. Okay, enough of this. Right. So let's see. So, this is the original cover. This is the Phillips cover that that I turned down. I know I'm relating all of this to me because it's all about me, right? That's the original cover. And there it is. Now, let's see. It's beautifully done, very nicely done. And you get I'm not sure that's the original Phillips label, but I'll assume it was. This looks very nicely pressed. Can't see who mastered it. This looks like it was either pressed at says A, but I think that's just A. This looks like it's either Optimal Record Industry or Palace. One of those three. I think it's definitely a UK, definitely an overseas pressing. Okay, for some reason they give you this and the one with the insert. All right, so that looks good. So let's see what the next one is. Are you enjoying this? Because if you're not, you can always turn it off, right? Don't bitch to me if you don't enjoy it. I know some people think that unboxing things, whether it's records or Star Wars, is like really stupid. Well, Star Wars, I think it's pretty stupid to unboxing little toys. If you're an older man and you're playing with little toys, I'm sorry, I have a problem with that. But this is different. All right. Okay, now that is truly androgynous. That is fantastic. And it's got the texture of the original. It's very, very authentic. Well, they made up a they made that up. It says Bowie, not Phillips. I guess they couldn't really reproduce. There's so much copyright baloney. Again, this looks very well pressed. I'm very excited because these are going to be better pressed. These are going to be better pressings than originals. So most of these. This one, interesting. It's on the Parlophone label, which the original was, and the original was on RCA. And okay, that's the original RCA corporate label in the 70s. So, but it says Bowie instead of RCA. I think that's pretty. Someone took the time to do this packaging correctly. Beautifully pressed. I hope this sounds as good as the EMI 100 remaster. This one, because this one is the in my opinion the Ni Plus Ultra, whatever that means, standard. The colors are pretty close. This is a little pinker, but it's good. It's nice. These are nice. It's a nice thing to have. People say, well, if these are digitally mastered, then I would buy the files and they'll be better. Well, not convinced of that either, because your turntable's been tuned to the way you like it, and that's what counts. Here's Ziggy. I'm starting to lose my voice, but I'm going to keep going. Again, looks nice. It's got the insert, another orange jacket. We're going to move through this pretty quickly. Starting to sound like Zachary again. Oh, and here's another one. So this is interesting. This is look, it's got a different, the front's the same, but the back's is different. This must be the 2005 3 remix. Yep, this is, let's see, 2000 mix, Ken Scott and Paul Hicks at Abbey Road Studios in London. You know, I would suspect this was digitally remastered. I don't think they did it to tape. I'd be very surprised, but I could be wrong. But let's say we don't care. What we care about is the sound. See what they did to the mix. that'll be fun. It's a great record, right? Right. Here's the Santa Monica show again. So again, it's a great concert. It was an absolutely great concert. You can look at the guy; he's fantastic. This is one of these guys I always would have liked to have met David Bowie. I don't know what would you say to a guy like that? Hi, David. Hey, how are you? What? You know, I don't know. I don't know how you approach these people and talk to them, because you don't want to You don't want to be a fan. You know, they don't need that. You just want to talk. You want to ask them questions that they've answered a million times. So maybe it's better you just don't meet them. And sometimes people say, when you meet people, you're always disappointed. No, I'm not disappointed, because the people I've met who were famous, were stars. They're people. We know they're people. When they go on stage, they're something else. And that's the amazing thing, that they can transform themselves on a stage. This was another step in a different odd direction, more theatrical, more glam rock. Let's see what the... Oh, and I've got the original American of this. It doesn't want to go back. Come on, go back. I've got Japanese pressings. I've got the... I've also got this. This was a reissue that was done a few years ago, which may be the same as that one. And I'll listen to that one too. And I've got Japanese Oradnisen, very good. This very good vinyl. Okay, if I insulted you, tell your friends. I've got the British original here. I've got... This is the Millennial Edition. Now this one is also analog, cutting from analog tapes. And I recall this is sounding very, very good. Very cluttered recording, very cluttered mix. A lot of stuff going on. A lot of Mike Garson noodling. The Ziggy Stardust and the Spider Smart motion picture soundtrack, which I don't recall. For some reason I don't have it. And this is when Bowie was stopped performing, I believe, after this, or as Ziggy Stardust. I mean, Pinups, a less than completely successful package, I think. Although in retrospect, there's some great stuff on here. Good songs, things he liked. Let's see what else. This is the recall. Oh, this is interesting things. The original UK mono single edit, Wild Eyed Boy from Free Cloud, original UK mono single version. But, and I'll tell you, I was just thinking, when you listen to Man Who Sold the World, and he does that, he swallowed his pride and puckered his lips, and all that kind of stuff, it was pretty gruesome. I mean, it was disturbing. A lot of things that went on in that song were very disturbing to people in 1972. They still are to some people. Let's see what else is on here. There's original mono versions of a lot of things. Mono single edits. Oh, the Arnold Corns version of Moon Age Daydream. I've got the single of that. Hang On to Yourself, the Arnold Corns single version. There's a whole story behind that, which in the review I'll talk about. I should have taken those singles out to show you them, because they're pretty rare, but I didn't, because I forgot about them. Okay. Anyway, this looks interesting. And then there's the book. Excuse me. Looks good. Let's see. Musicians. It looks like it's got some interesting pictures. Oh yeah. Tony Visconti. Tony Visconti's talking about it. It's going to be interesting to read. John Mendelsohn, interesting to read. Yeah, Rolling Stone. You see, these are really looks great pictures. Very well done. Very, very well done. Ken Scott in recording Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust. There are the tape. Okay, there are the tape boxes. Okay, there are the original Trident tape boxes. So we're thinking they've got the tape boxes. They've got the tapes. Did they cut them from the tapes? Why not? Why not cut them from the tapes? Maybe they did. Oh, there's Ken Scott in 1972. You seen pictures of Ken Scott now? This is great. Look at this guy. This is fantastic. Hey, Ken. That's just amazing. Not that my pictures from 1972 were any better. This is going to be a fun read. I'm looking through it, not showing you. I'm sorry. This is going to be a fun read for sure. Great pictures. And I'm glad I had my almost famous moment on that tour because it was great. So, I think this looks like there are the tapes for pinups. So that, the tapes are all there, and let's see if in the back they say mastered by and how it was made. I mean, they should give you that kind of stuff, I think, in my opinion. Okay, let's see. Project produced for release by Nigel Reeve and Joe Blair for Warner Music, and Henry Wren Melick for RZO Music. Oh, Ray Davies wrote the foreword. I didn't notice that. That's cool. Now, I talked to him. Great guy, really fun. And he hated vinyl when I talked to him. He didn't like it. He said when he came out of the mastering suite and played the record, it made him sick compared to what was on the tape. But of course, what were they playing it back on? Crap, Transfers and mastering by Ray Staff, I know that, at Air Mastering. So Ray cannot fess up as to what was done from what. But you know what? When I play it and I hear it, if it sounds great, then does it matter how it was done? No, what matters is the end result. So this looks like a really nice box, really nice presentation. On the basis of the physical box, it's easy to recommend. This looks like this was not a slipshod, hey, let's give the kids some vinyl. The vinyl's hip. They like this vinyl thing now, right? No, this is a well done thing. Okay? So that's the Bowie box. And I'm going to get to listening to it as soon as my ears unclog from being sick. Okay? Thanks for watching.